The Sentinel is known to be reliable, fearless, disciplined, consistent, courageous, motivated, and skillful.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
All these qualities start from the mind. Your mind can be your worst enemy or your most powerful weapon.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Is this the dagger?
Learn how to achieve greatness and tap into the Sentinel mindset.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. What a wonderful day it is today. Very excited to have a special guest by the name of Phil D. Now, who exactly is Phil D for everyone listening? Well, I'm going to read some of this because there's a lot packed in this. But Phil, he brings 23 years of law enforcement experience and over 35 years of martial arts to the use of force training and security industry. Now, his experience has been gained working in Toronto and cities throughout Ontario. Phil has developed vast operational experience working in covert operations, specialized joint task force units with numerous municipal, federal, and international agencies such as the United States Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the RCMP Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit. He is a founding member of the first gun and gang task force established in Canada. I mean, I can go on and on and on. He's a lead use force instructor for the Toronto Police Training Academy, teaching over 5,000 members annually. And he developed and taught the plainclothes survival tactics course, high-risk takedowns, de-escalation, communication training, judgment, scenario-based training. I'm running out of breath, Mike. There's a lot here.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have told everyone listening that you actually were reading it.
Yes, I was.
No one would have known.
That was actually good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. You're a really good reader.
Phil, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure, man. And, there's just so much here. And I just want to throw out how we found out about you. So we've been recently pushing out the Sentinel mindset, pushing out a lot of the conversations that we're having with individuals that just are, I just say special, man. They're just special. They have a unique element and a gifting of tapping into their mindset, and everything that you have listed in your experiences, you need that special mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of you actually, Constantine and I, we were in Miami a couple of weeks ago, right? It's almost 2 weeks. Feels sad.
Yes.
Feels sad. The tropical weather, we miss you. And there's something about a palm tree.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It's good for the soul. So, I mean, we were having, we're immersed in a high-level training environment.
Right.
And some of this stuff, and I know, Constantine, you'd put some stuff up on LinkedIn. So give me an idea. How did you, because you kind of reached out to Constantine, right?
Yes, I have a buddy that's on LinkedIn. He's an ex-cop and the squads too, and he was trying to get me to change my mindset to social media for more business. So that's the reason he got me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I have a website for my company and all that, and I tweaked it. And it was actually my wife was actually saying, if you see someone who fits your kind of mindset and maybe you could do possible business or just do a message, right? And that's what I saw what you were doing as professional. I liked and the people you were involved. So I just took a chance, right?
Yeah.
I've only done it maybe 3 times. I've talked to 2 people, yourself and another person, and some other people reach out to me,
right,
the odd time, and it was just to try. And then when we talked, it was just like we were on the same. And then when we met today, it was just on the same page.
right.
Yeah.
And you associate with people that I know,
Right.
which it was coincidence.
Yeah, you know my mom, which is amazing. Right? Now, let me ask.
Yeah.
I mean, what Constantine had read off, which
Yes.
for those listeners, yes, he did read it, and he
Yes.
did it right quite well.
No, it's
That was, I guess, off your LinkedIn. Kind of in your own words, give us an idea who you are, what you're about, and kind of what you're looking to do.
And before you
moving
do
forward.
that, just has anybody ever told you have a radio voice?
I do.
Yeah,
I don't
Mike,
know about. I
yeah,
know if,
absolutely.
Yeah, you do.
wow.
You actually.
I never.
But this
they
is
said
a
I'm a
pod-
low voice, but
Yeah, radio. What's radio again?
yeah, what is radio? Maybe to help me be a UC undercover guy.
Yeah. So speak. So give us an idea who you are, if you can kind of just introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Phil D. I just started Toronto Police in December '96. 6 months of training. Got on the road in 14 Division, Parkdale, downtown.
Oh, hey.
I picked 51, which is Regent Park, because I wanted to. I grew up outside of Toronto. I was born in Toronto when I was 5. I grew up, but I really wanted to get that downtown Toronto feel. And I was lucky enough to get 14 Division. Spent 4 years there with 6 months with a training officer. Great men and women. Back then we had a lot of seniority.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of people that train you, and I just took the best. What really got me into the plainclothes undercover world, and I can decipher the difference later, is that when I had 2 years on, I did 6 months in the community foot patrol. and they rate the bikes. You might see them in the
Yeah.
communities, divisions. But this time we did all drug and investigation work because there was a person there that was an ex-squad person who ended up working in Gun and Gang Task Force years later. He was a detective. Anyone, he really mentored me. I got my first informant source. We did about 20 search warrants, drug work, and he really opened the eyes. Like, I didn't even know what an undercover officer was, but he was the reason really why I went to undercover work. And then I did 2 more years in uniform, and then I got an opportunity to go to intelligence unit. I didn't really deserve to be there, but there was a lady that wanted to get out. So someone just said, knew I was a hard worker and knew I wouldn't, I guess, embarrass them. And I went to this unit for 2 months, and then I switched to the auto squad.
Another win for the hard workers out there.
Yeah, we just, I
Right?
just
It's
said,
funny.
hey, do
Isn't
you
it
wanna
funny
go?
how like opportunities
Yeah.
attract the hard worker? You know, they get like,
Yeah,
finds a
4
way.
years I probably didn't deserve to be there, but I did all the paperwork, all the mediocre stuff. Went to the auto task force, was all the paperwork guy with another senior officer doing all the file management and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9/11 happened, so different units, including the auto squad, became a joint task force with CSIS, the RCMP, anti-terrorism, and my unit, auto squad, and other squads. So my boss said, hey, there's another detective sergeant that needs help, which that unit became the Gun and Gang Task Force a year later, but
Yeah.
it was called something else.
Yeah.
And I was on a full photocopier for 2 weeks, 8 hours a day. And he came to me and said, hey, you know what, Phil? You don't complain. I have senior officers here that might complain. I give you the low-level stuff. You can stay as long as you want.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Okay, hold on,
We
hold
got to
on.
dissect
Sorry.
this. We got to
Hold on.
dissect
I never
this.
thought
Hold
photocopying
on.
would help me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We got to dissect this right now.
Oh man, amazing.
Mike, why don't
in,
you
go
come?
in,
Okay,
you go in, you go
so
Yeah.
here's the thing: a lot of people in our experiences that we see, and I mean, I was going to tie it back to examples, are looking for opportunities, right? However, they're looking for opportunities in the places that they really don't exist. Okay, you did something when you were that guy, photocopying. Okay, and your aspirations were to kind of get to that level.
Right.
You weren't complaining.
No.
You were doing something to help you get to an opportunity. What were you thinking at that time when you're doing these? Like, are you thinking I'm going to get closer to my goal? What do you
Didn't know.
You didn't
That's
know.
a good question. You know, just my parents, they were 18 when they had me. Back then, just hard work. My dad was a firefighter, fire
Yeah.
captain. I was just lucky to be there. I knew that I was meeting and I was rubbing shoulders with people I never experienced. Intelligence building held all the units,
Yeah.
covert ops, mobile support, all the different hold-up squad.
Yeah.
So I was walking the halls and people said hi. I said hi,
Mm-hmm.
and then this person didn't even say hi to me, and I didn't know he was a staff sergeant. I just said hi, sir, in the hall, and then all of a sudden he says, "Do you want to come?" I was on the photocopier. I had a lot of good mentors. Someone
Yes.
in that unit said, "Just keep your mouth shut."
Yes.
And I had learned from the divisional work,
Right.
just be quiet, and your work will show. So right from uniform,
Yes.
I was taught. I was 26. I was mature enough. I had a career before that in computer networking and taking care of mentally, physically disabled people. So I had some life experience, and then I just did it. And then he didn't give me from 2 weeks photocopying. I went to file management again. It's not too sexy, and it was their major projects. And then it became what was called. Everyone did gun and gang work in Canada,
Right.
but no one wanted to admit they had a gang problem. So Toronto in 2002, our unit became the first gun and gang task force in Canada, and the first wiretap. And they were the ones that the detectives and this person, the staff sergeant. So then I just they trusted me
Yes.
with the information because it's sensitive information. And then more and more I started doing workup files for the targets of the wire of the people they were going after. And then I just got of a guy that they can rely on and wouldn't give out sensitive because it is sensitive. And then when they can trust you and you're a hard worker, coming in early, this and that, yeah, no problem. I didn't have kids or family, so I would always make myself available. You need me to come in 2 hours or stay late?
Yeah, it's funny you say photocopying. I actually, to our team, I use this as an example. I was a young man throwing like a big event, and I needed some photocopies. And there's a photocopy place in Scarborough, okay, at Birchmount and Ellesmere. And I went in, and there was this old guy in his 70s, Don. I still remember his name. And this guy was passionate about photocopies. And it's an example to me that my dad would always say, if you want to be proud of what you do, take pride in what you do.
100%.
And he would be like, what cardstock? Does this feel good? What do you
Right,
think here?
right.
What's the impression you're trying to make? And it was always a lesson to me that it does not matter what you're doing.
No,
If you put your all in it, how you do it can make a difference. It makes an impact. So I think it's kind of cool that photocopying by you being a hard worker, saying, okay, you know, when you said that you were happy to be there, it means gratitude. You
That's
were,
right.
You were grateful.
I was in the intelligence unit.
Yeah, you're
Right.
like,
How
man,
many people with
look
4 or
where
5
I
years
am.
on could say that?
Right.
Yeah.
There are outliers of people, but you know, I was just happy. And then they said, and then I had mentored people say, hey, you're doing the right thing. And then I became a case manager
Yeah.
of big projects, and I had a team of 10 people. I had to like people from helping out for these big takedowns before wires. We did 2 projects before wiretaps,
Right.
big immigration warrants, and then I met immigration task force and stuff like that. So I was
And more doors open, more doors
doors
open.
open.
Which
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
is it's key to note, because look,
Network.
we normally put great stock in like the go-getter, right? You know, the mover and shaker, the guy who can go in a room and everyone knows who they are quickly. We hear about those stories, but we don't put enough emphasis on just the guy who puts his head down and is about the work. Because the sergeant, good on him, and all these other people, they start to see your work.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't have to trumpet it and say, hey, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't trust the motive of that,
Oh,
right? And
exactly.
because a person is more about trying to get an accolade, a title, a recognition, versus being about the job, right? So I think that's amazing. Like, you know, it sounds like you're even saying, I just found myself leading a team of 10 guys.
yeah, it was just they trusted me, and
Right.
I guess,
Yeah,
I guess
amazing.
good file management skills,
Yeah.
right? Of those, and that's what it was, and people and
See, guys, if you
stressing the team.
you file away properly,
Yeah.
you can be an undercover cop.
Yeah, I got a
man.
paper cut. But no, it was just in dealing with people, right? People
Yeah.
only follow. One experience detective told me years ago. No one knows why people follow you or listen to you. They just do, right? You can't force people. Authority.
that's
People
good.
will follow you because they want to. In any
Yeah.
unit I've been in, like I never went for promotion. I was a
Yep.
team leader, role boss, but men and women followed because they trusted in your skills, right? Detective has a rank, staff sergeant, they give an order, but when you're a constable, detective constable, a team leader, you're on the same, but they follow you because they trust you.
That's
Right.
that's actually really
Right.
cool. Now look, I mean, I think we should let you know, for the listeners out there, you're in a specialty. You are, you know,
No, I
to
appreciate
do
that.
undercover work. The average person has like, our only reference is movies.
Yeah.
Donnie
Yeah.
Brasco, right? Like, you know, we kind of hear.
I
Training
met Donnie
Day.
Brasco's partner actually once.
Ooh,
Really?
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So, and I say
New
that
York guy,
because
New York FBI.
you know, some
Really?
guys,
Oh,
I mean,
that's
I've come across undercovers, you know, I could spot them a mile away, you know, being a kind of a street guy. You'd see the guy with
Exactly.
he'd have the crisp, full jean Levi suit, right? Like, who wears matching
There's
jacket and
different
jeans?
levels too of undercover work, just
Yeah.
like protection in your ability. There's
Yeah.
always different levels, right?
This,
Yeah.
this guy was a
Yeah.
newbie, like guaranteed, and like you can basically see his his you know, his comm radio sticking
Oh,
out the
yeah.
back of his belt and whatever,
Yeah.
and like those boots are just too nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I say that. Give us an idea. What was it like to work undercover? Okay.
So when I went to undercover, I was in gun and games for years, but someone gave me advice and said, hey, you're good at major projects, but to really be a good investigator or undercover, you should do street work, right?
Ooh.
So I went to the drug squad. I transferred to the drug squad, and I was able to go in the drug squad for 3 years. And again, I found some great mentors, right? And they give you the and they let you cut your teeth. They don't put you in the deep end right away. You don't even buy drugs in the cover for a couple months. You have to do surveillance, do all that stuff, and they're evaluating. You're in 6 months probation.
Hold on, did you say undercover by drugs?
By drugs,
I'm
there's
just joking,
undercovers.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah.
So they want to make sure you're safe first,
Right.
Yes.
right? As a takedown team member to help the undercover that's there. Then you get assigned a senior undercover officer that mentors you, and the whole team mentors you, from paperwork, from doing search warrants, takedowns. And then when they trust you, they launch you. And then your first undercover buy. And
What was it like for you? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
The first one, the first
one.
launch.
The first launch was pretty good. I got into a prostitute
Mm-hmm.
on Lakeshore
Mm.
in Toronto, and then she got me to her back end.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone loves when it's your first buy, because then it's $1,000 of beer and wings, and you got to buy for the teens, right? So they
Yeah.
want you to succeed. But no, that's
Right.
just more of the
Yeah.
back then, and then you go from there. And I was fortunate that before I left the drug squad, I was senior undercover training, and when I wasn't buying, I was helping do secondaries training, and we were also lent out to other other divisions. We helped divisional squads. So typically you started, back then there was 18 divisions, they've amalgamated, and every division had squads, like a major crime unit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't have the expertise, so we would help them for a 5-week project. So you did your own work, you helped out divisions, you helped out other units, other squads. If there was a guy wanted for a murder, and then they would launch you in a certain place and try to befriend someone that knew him in order to get intel. So there's a lot of different things. We were like the stepchild no one wants to admit, but when they needed you, because it's dirty work, like drug squad. There's only, I remember my coach officer when I was a rookie. I said, "Who are those guys?" And they were drug squad, men and women that took over the case prep.
And they're guys like break dancing in the corner.
Yeah, and and he goes, "That I couldn't be one of them, right?" I go, "Why?" "Oh, they're just a different breed, that kind of work." And it always stuck with me. You know, I'd like to be able to. You have to have an ego, and I equate it to.
So that's interesting because we're always talking about ego, but this is interesting. This is where actually ego is your friend.
Controlled ego. Yes.
Controlled ego. Okay.
Yes. To do any type of, because we're proactive. We're going in. I don't like to use the word hunting, but we're going after people. We're going into environments where there's guns, drugs, for whatever reason, right? From street gangs to traditional organized crime. So
there's targets.
Targets, yeah. Person of interest, POIs, targets. So anyway, when you do that, and they trust you, so if you equate it to team sports, an analogy we were talking earlier, we always like that. You're playing like basketball or football, where there's a team, and you go to a certain area, and then they launch you, and then you became a single sport like wrestling, or something like that. MMA. So now you're a team sport, and they launch and you're by yourself.
So you prep as a team, but you play as an individual.
And you have your backup, but some, I've had circumstances, maybe fortunately, where your life is on the line, where guns are pointed at you and this and that, because I have a heavy self-defense background too. I had a boss that's after 6 months, he says, "You know what, Phil, you're excellent, and I'm going to put you in situations that maybe I wouldn't put in other ones, because you know how to abide by the principles of safety, but because of your self-defense skills and your abilities, we'll put you into more dangerous areas." I go, "Thanks." It was really humbling to hear that.
So you've had guns pointed at you.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. Fortunately or unfortunately.
What's going through your mind?
I think I'm going to die, and I call it the frozen state. I don't want to swear on the air, but oh gosh, this is serious. And then you got to work through it. And then the first time I had a gun pointed. I only had maybe 5 or 6 buys. We launched into an area. We didn't know that he got home invaded by gunmen, masked gunmen, and guns pointed to his head. So I knocked on the door. Team is in the area as support. And then as soon as he came out the door, he thought I was there to set him up. He robbed me at gunpoint with his gun in his pocket. It wasn't traditionally. And then I froze for a split second, and then you have to be able to critically think, like Jimmy Brummer, your host. When your heart rate's up to a certain point, so then a lot of the electronics went down, and their signals and stuff.
So now it's all
backup didn't come.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Not their fault. And then I realized I'm on my own, and the team was able to let me work through it. So, and there's reasons why they couldn't come in right away. I'm thinking there's going to be a shooting. I'm ready to go to the ground, and I'm like, okay, I'm by myself. Longest 10, 15 minutes of my life at that point.
Wow.
I can imagine.
So then it's all your streetwise, your talk, and then I convinced, and there's ways of manipulating people if you know what you're doing. And this was a gang guy, about maybe a 20-year-old guy, and he's got, we didn't know he got robbed because they don't report it to the police.
Yes.
So anyway, I convinced him I wasn't a threat, that I had money somewhere else. Convinced him to put his gun away. He put his gun out.
So you have to kind of almost go street back on him.
Oh yeah, and make sure I'm not a threat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But convince him to come for the takedown out of that area, not to give up trade.
So there's a lot of there's acting involved here as well, right?
You have to be in that, and you don't get a second take. You have to
wow.
act, right?
You hear that, actors?
Good,
you hear that, actors?
And I only heard that from a professional actor, so they said that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's actually amazing.
It's like your life's on this performance right now.
And you will perform.
Yes.
Like Jimmy said, like that's the survival.
The environment
brain.
requires it.
You will use any tool you have.
Yes.
To manipulate that person, because you really, when I break it down, when I teach self-defense, yes, his hand is on the gun, his finger, but you really have to control the brain. So when you control the person's mindset and make it look like it's beneficial for them and you're not a threat, and it goes all your training and all that, and to convince someone to put their gun, that you're not a threat, and then come with me to my car or whatever, and I have money for you, or whatever it is.
Yeah. And
then you got taken down by the team outside, and he got another buddy to come with me, and you're breathing, and then you're just thinking. You're thinking of how can I not be a threat and control him to come with me. And when he put the gun away, I knew we had him. I think, it was just, if I could jump off for joy, but you still have to be.
You still gotta maintain the performance.
And you gotta, it's not a threat, and then you go.
I think it's instinctual. Look,
self-preservation.
In my own little world, I've had incidents quite similar, And I when I walk it back, it's true. Everything slows down.
It does. It slows down.
The other thing, I believe instinct kicks in, because when I replay some stuff that I've done, I'd never thought it as a strategy. I never thought,
Yes.
okay, I should do A, B to get C. You just
100%.
do it on instinct. And I think maybe that's what some of your superiors noticed, is you had good instincts.
It's trained. You have it from your upbringing, your DNA. It's
You know how to survive. You know the lay of the
and
land.
it's your intuition.
Yeah.
Your gut intuition. It's your, like you said, situational awareness.
Do you think you'd be a good undercover, Constantine?
100%. I was actually going to say this point right now.
Yeah.
I grew up in an area called Flemington Park.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Region Park, all of that. These guys, they're all in the same link,
Yeah.
and
They're all like friends.
they're all friends. Yeah, and one of the things is I remember a person that we hired once is also a friend of mine. He grew up in Region Park,
Okay. Yeah.
and I remember when we brought him into some of our work, and he was able to pick things out
Oh, 100%.
that other people weren't able to just by their body language. To see that guy, pay attention to that guy. I'm seeing it,
100%.
and no one else. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
and then
It's
later,
called characteristics. Gun. We teach that,
100%.
He knows the shooter.
and that's important.
He knows
in
who the
your
shooter is in
line
the
of
in the
work.
group, right?
That-
He
that's
knows
right.
who's the dangerous one. In
He
the
knows
group.
the danger. So I definitely think you need to have street smarts to do this kind of work, which was kind of leading to my question, which Mike, you kind of like,
Sorry.
such a nice set.
Segue, yeah.
What kind of mindset does someone need to get into undercover work? Now, before you answer the question, Phil, we have a lot of people that want to aspire to be police officers. We actually have quite a few Sentinel alumni who are police officers right now, who we also know want to get on the police force.
Right.
Get in the undercover unit, and because this is something that a lot of people are going to listen to kind of maybe project their own growth into certain divisions in the police force. If someone wants to get into undercover, what kind of mindset do you need? Because this literally is not like, hey, I want to get into this division. We're talking about your one decision can kill you.
Yeah, so what they look for is initially when they interview, because friends of mine interview in covert ops and the drug squad, they look for more of a risk-taking mindset. You have to be a risk taker. Certain risk, right? And again, you have to be able to listen, have an ego. Everyone has an innate personality, but you have to be able to contain your ego and listen to criticism. So you have to be a team player, but you have to believe in yourself. And you have to be, if I can do sports, you have to want to be Michael Jordan in the sense that when you're an undercover officer and then you are launched, and whatever it is, whether it's with other people or yourself or whatever, you want to take the last shot. And a lot of people don't want it. That's what an undercover officer you see is. You want to be the one to put the success or failure on your back. And if you fail, you have no one but yourself and the team, but you're the one that's going and you have to want to do that, be the Michael Jordan of do the last shot.
Now, can you when you look at colleagues and you look at people that are sparring, can you tell, just like we said, how this one gentleman can tell when there's something about that, but can you tell if someone has what it takes?
Yes. But again, there's a lot of great potentially people, but they can't work with others in the sandbox. They can't play well with others.
Right.
So again, it's the teamwork first, and then when you get by yourself, when it's a single sport, you have to be able to have that confidence to do it and think critically under stress. And that's why they don't throw you in the deep end quick. They do little plays here and there.
Why does that connection matter? I love the way you said it. They can't play in the sandbox. If you've never had a sandbox, listeners, we apologize. Okay.
I give you an example.
And the reason why I ask it is because why does playing in the sandbox, being able to work as a team, how is it applicable when you're undercover, launched by yourself?
Because they're your support network. They're your backup. Sometimes they're giving you the info. Sometimes they're writing the warrant that you're doing. They're your backup. Everyone does undercover work in the drug squad, at least once or two you buy, because you want to get that sensation of being isolated for 5-10 seconds. I was an anomaly, actually, on the outliers, but 5 or 10 seconds if you're buying in a certain area where your backup takes you. So that when you know that experience, that you feel isolated by yourself, and you'll get there quicker. So you have to rely on your team. Everything's a team sport. Everything's team, and you don't want to, and you do a lot of things that are under the radar. Like you'll see a media release where they've captured this and that. They don't know that the drug squad or undercovers are part of that. You don't need to be, not to pick on firefighters. My dad was a firefighter, but if you go to a gym and you see a young person, a man or woman wearing the firefighter shirt, fire rescue, because he wants everyone to know, right? He's proud or she's proud. But you can't say undercover, super undercover cop.
Yeah, no, I know.
Right.
My neighbors for years didn't know what I did. My barber for 20 years thought it was a firefighter. You can't tell anyone. So you just do it for the sake of, it's kind of probably like similar to military, Navy SEAL or Delta operator,
Yeah.
where they do things and they don't get credit, but their team knows what they did. Same
Right.
thing. We know what we did together, and everyone's, I just happen to be an undercover officer, but there's other officers, the row boss, team leader, so everyone connected together, we're invincible.
So you almost another quality, and I actually call this a quality. You're also have to be in a set up frame of mind where you do not want the glory. Meaning as in, you know what I mean? Like you have to be content being a behind the scenes player.
Exactly.
And you have to appreciate the role that you have there.
Oh, 100%.
Which is where the reverse side of ego is, where you want the
100%.
attention. You want social media. Hey guys, look what I just
100%.
busted.
Yeah.
And you got
the 100%.
At that Thanksgiving dinner, you got a good story. You want to
Right.
tell them, but you can't say it, right? Yeah.
And it's but where the ego comes in, exactly 100%. The ego comes in when I want to trick you. Trickery is legal in the criminal. Like we talked before, you've been arrested before. You are a person. I'm always looking at him. Right? I'm thinking,
yeah, it's okay.
You're-
Yeah.
You're
He got me, guys.
You've got
Yeah.
disclosure, right?
Yeah.
You know some of our tactics.
Yeah.
Your defense lawyer, and we still fool you.
Right.
That's the ego. I
Right.
fooled you. I got
Right.
you.
It's chess.
Individually,
It's
chess.
chess. Yeah.
But as a collective, you're not gonna. No one's gonna really know, right?
Right.
Maybe the homicide team got, because of you helping them, got
Yes.
a conviction, or this person or that person, right? And yeah, you just want to do it for your own benefit to see you can do it. And not many people can do this type of work, right? Or
Right.
be at elite level. There's all kinds of good. There's not just drug. There's terrorism, undercover. There's all kinds of different types. Intelligence, just gathering. There's all kinds of different. Mine was just more traditional organized crime or gangsters for whatever reason. That was my thing.
Phil, can you tell us, is there a story that you can come up, a time where a member of your team, or maybe it wasn't your team, a member of a team wasn't a team player and it almost cost the operation or almost cost like the end goal of basically trying to accomplish, a win and take something down? Can you
Yes,
recall
you know
anything?
what? Yes. For instance, there's maybe there's different undercovers, different skill sets, and the team leader, the row boss for the detective says, this is how we're going to do the investigation. Everyone's going to do this. This is how we're going to do it. And then that person calls. While we've already agreed, we had an operational briefing. Everyone knows the role, including undercover, the backup, whatever, the row boss, and everyone, detective. This person calls the undercover on the way to he's meeting the target and says, I think you should do something else to mess up the play because their ego. They want to be.
Right.
They want to
They want to put their
That
stamp.
person didn't last too long. That person wasn't on the team.
They want to put their
wow.
stamp on it.
Wow, yeah.
when it got out, right?
Yeah,
they want to put
exactly.
their stamp on it, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that was his individual or her individual needs against the collective team, and it's
Right.
not going to work because it puts the undercover in jeopardy.
Right, right.
Because there's a reason why the senior people said, "This is why we want you to do this and this."
Yes.
Right? And that
Wow.
happens. That can happen, right? But that person's not going to. Thank God, the person didn't do what
They were going to say yes.
they did. What was supposed to be in the briefing.
Okay.
And,
Very important,
it
man,
went
to have
yeah.
that team chemistry, right?
Yeah.
And it happens, right? Because again, you're doing stuff that no one else really does, and ego, and it exposes you, for lack of a better. Undercover work, plainclothes work exposes you, and if you're a good team player, you're going to continue to be a team player. If you're
Yeah.
just about me, then it's going to expose you at some point in time, right? And you're not going to last too long in this field. It's very small,
Yes.
like Joe was saying, and Jim. It's very small, and people find out if you're a team player.
Right.
You get positions by just people vouching for you. Yep, they can handle it. Blah blah blah. I would vouch for that person because
Right.
they're a performer and they know how to work together.
That's right. It's amazing just to hear again just how you look at everything, because we're not talking about we're talking about significant moves that have domino effects.
Yeah, and the stakes are high.
Now, we also know about you, Phil, is that you currently as a retired individual now are putting a lot of these skills that you've had into practice and training others, right?
Yes.
We're going to be doing some stuff where we're going to be showcasing soon a lot of the stuff that Phil kind of teaches as life
stay tuned.
skills.
Appreciate it.
Is there anything that you can just give the listener a little taste of, maybe a life hack of, if you're in a situation here, do this, that someone could apply to themselves in anything? And
Sure.
again, it could be a lady going to her car with her groceries in the middle of the night. It
I
could
was
be
just gonna say that. So,
okay.
Not to interrupt.
Yeah,
so
and where this
exactly.
comes from, because we talked undercover, but you did say earlier that about self-defense
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
and kind of your so maybe answer Constantine's question, but then I think it would be good if we kind of talk about
Okay.
those skills.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're talking about, situational awareness, that's the buzzword. That's what you're talking about.
Right.
When you're a member in the team earlier, you were talking about that person, or that person now, sorry, could pick off, the guy from
Yes.
the regional park could pick off. That's what a woman, if you use a scenario, woman, right? If trust your gut instincts. We're all born with intuition, and then we're there to suppress it. Well, you bring that out in undercover plainclothes work. So for a female, a woman, right, and I have a daughter, so I'm going to be helping teach her that. If you see someone in the parking lot, and you get your gut says something's wrong, trust it. Don't go to your car, have your keys in your hand or whatever, and if someone's approaching you don't like it, then walk away to where other people are there, or be loud, or just be aware. You shouldn't have blinders. You should be looking at your whole environment. You shouldn't be approaching your vehicle. If, I guess in the States they do this a lot, there's unfortunately serial rapists. They'll do things like in the past, there's people that have put fake gurneys on their arm.
Yeah.
Oh, can you help me with my, and then they
You
have
got
a
a
van
weapon.
with can you help me put my groceries in? And then next thing you know, God forbid, don't do stuff like
Because
that.
they're close to the car. Yeah.
If you feel you'll hit in your gut, don't run through parks alone.
Right.
Just because you think you can. Like I can't. There's certain areas I won't walk into because I'm not from there. It could be just not man or woman.
Right.
Trust your gut instinct. Be smart, but situational. Always, and then finally, always look at the hands. That's the delivery system. I know when I use force. I'll know within 10 to 30 seconds whether you're carrying a firearm or a weapon.
Just
right?
where your hands
because
are moving.
And it's called characteristics. But as a woman,
Yes.
you could look at the hands, look at the eyes will change the voice. But again, if it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Right.
You will trust your gut instinct.
That's
I can't say that 100
that's
times. It
good,
saved my
man.
life
Yeah.
many times where I've trusted my gut and I wouldn't push the envelope. I pushed the envelope a lot, but then I even had to say, hey, enough's enough. Because
Right.
you trust that intuition.
Wow.
Can you share some stuff about your self-defense background that you?
Yeah, so I just started in boxing when I was 14, and my dad wouldn't let me, so I just sparred a lot with some nice, and then I went to judo in the early 90s. And then I had a mentor when I became a police officer. Big MMA was really popular, and I love MMA. I think I went to UFC 7 in the 90s,
Oh,
Buffalo.
wow.
Whoa,
Back then.
you're in the single digit.
Back then.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Back then. So I
Yeah.
went, so this is 97,
Wow.
summer's 97. So I'm only 27 years old. So I'm like, I go to my sergeant. He's an ex-commando, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
And he was French Foreign Legion, an ex-mercenary. And
Wow.
he became a police officer. And I said, his first name was Jan. I said, Jan, I want to do, he goes, you know what, you can do that, but come to my combat jiu-jitsu. People are going to try to hurt you with weapons, maybe disarm you, and it's okay to do sport fighting, but you need to do more, I guess there's a term, combatives now. So I went to him, and then it was amazing, and then I went to the Russian system, and I've been doing that since 97.
What's the term called for the Russian system?
Mine is Close Quarter Combat Sambo.
Sambo. That's
Sambo,
it. Right?
combat sambo. So sambo, sports sambo is their version of Russian's version of BJJ.
Yeah. Okay.
Combat sambo is like MMA, and
Yeah.
then special forces. This is like military combat sambo.
Yes.
It's close quarter stuff, right?
Okay.
So and then I do Filipino martial arts since 2013 because
Shout out to the Filipinos.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so I just want more, and you know what? I have friends we cross train that help me teach, and we always trade ideas. And they're one guy who's a second, third in the world in BJJ, world competitor, but boxing champ, and we just do more hand-to-hand still. So there's no bad martial art. Everything was designed, as you know, for what it was meant for.
Mm-hmm.
So just for me, just personally, this more reality-based type of self-defense worked for me.
Yeah.
Especially in Canada,
That's all.
where we
Yeah.
talked about this earlier as well, where a lot of the applications were maybe to our American friends where they have access to a handgun.
Yes.
We have to obviously train without it because we don't have access to it,
We
right?
have a knife, maybe improvised weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do all that. And I became known, with one other guy as the takedown specialist, the hand-to-hand or whatever. So, for instance, if one, I was humbling, right? So if one in Flemington, we had a guy get with a Rambo knife, an undercover officer.
Right.
And I made sure I was the first in the takedown to get him out so he couldn't get access to his knife. He had it in his pocket.
Right.
Mhm.
And he was threatening to kill the
And you heard that
undercover
right. That was a Rambo knife.
It was
Yeah.
a Rambo, and he had it in
Yeah.
his pocket.
Crazy.
And there's principles, right? So everyone worked well, sorry. He was distracted by the undercover. We all went well, and it's teamwork, and then I was the person first to extract them, and then the team behind me, and we all work collectively, right?
Right.
But you get known, again, as the hand-to-hand person on your team, or one of them, right? Someone's a firearm, like Jimmy Bremer would be the firearm.
Yes.
I'm the hand-to-hand guy in undercover. Everyone's got a good skill set, but again, collectively, we're invincible.
For sure. And as a side note, you brought it up with Jim. So you are also a member of the Canadian Tactical Officers Association.
Yes, I'm really excited, humbled.
Yeah.
Shout out to the CTOA.
Yeah.
Check
I'm
it
very
out.
humbled because, like I said, Jimmy is the salt of the earth. He trained all of us in
Right.
tactics and survival, anything to do with weapons.
Yes.
He was the expert.
Amazing. And there's some big things coming with the CTOA that we're going to love to share soon down the road. But we're not going to let all the
Not
Easter
yet.
eggs out
Not
right
yet.
now.
Christmas and it's not here yet.
Yeah. No, Phil, like to me, it's absolutely like I think very insightful to what you're putting out right now because again, a lot of times people are trying to understand the applications,
Yes.
right? We asked you about the mindset of what it would take for someone, to get into undercover. What are qualities that you look for in people that you think could be good contributing factors to, just in general, like law enforcement or any of, it doesn't have to be just law enforcement. It could be
Okay.
anything. What would you say are some good skills or, qualities that people should like look for to possess?
People skills.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to be around people.
Okay.
Different types of people. Different ethnics, backgrounds, whether they're challenged mentally, physically, just wanted to help people. And one of the things that happens, any police officer with time on, when you put that uniform on, you're no longer yourself. You represent the police force or security, wherever it is, your organization, and you're like a beam. Everyone's if you don't think everyone's looking at you. So you have to be comfortable with be their center of attention sometimes,
Mhm.
and being around and comfortable in your own skin. So being around people.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason we got and that quality goes through all undercover work or anything, to get sources, thinks, I'm dating myself, informants.
Right.
I don't judge them. And I had a young officer say, we were in Galloway once, and he goes, how do you get so much, he was a young guy on the team, how do you get so many informants, you and my buddy, I won't say his name, because we just talk to people, we don't judge them.
Mm.
We don't
Yeah.
go in their house and say, hey, how is your son doing this or whatever, we just treat them like, and then they become our business partner and informant.
Right.
And we treat them or her like a regular person.
Right.
And that's the way they are. And they're helping us get guns or drugs or whatever in the street. And
Right.
we have to be confidential. But yeah, just talking. The other thing is, again, you have to want to help people. Taking constructive criticism. There's a lot of instances where sometimes it's hard to self-reflect and say, I might have messed up,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that scenario where I was robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah.
When I was under stress, I said, you have to point that small thing at me. I went to my life, my streets, my right.
Right.
I didn't say firearm.
Right.
Under stress is a small thing.
Right.
So they didn't hear that. So that was a thing that I had to, and that was okay. And then some criticism went one way, everyone. But together was, hey, this is not to point fingers. This is what you could do better. This is what I can do better. So now the person listening to me or whatever, my backup knows that's the language I do.
Okay.
Or that person couldn't come and save me, or at this because there was other people watching them. Whatever it is.
Okay.
Because we all mess up.
That's right.
And
That's
if
right.
you own it, and then you go forward. It's the people that, I had one guy on our team that brought some information, and he was a great cop in the division. And we said, okay, we're going to do this. No, I want to do that. Well, we're kind of, not to put you down, but we're the elite, right? This is how we do it. Well, oh no, I said, listen, we've been handling sources for years.
Right.
We're not going to, but he could have been a great person to come to our team, but he wasn't willing to play with the team and all that. And
Couldn't share the sandbox. as they say.
construction
Yeah.
criticism. Like I can't, if someone says this, hey, back then they yelled at you. You can't do that. I had to change my leadership style again because I didn't go for promotion, but I was an informal leader. Some people I could yell at, some people I had to explain. And I had to change, that was big. I had to change the way I talked to people internally in my team because the old school way of yelling at people,
Yeah.
why didn't you do this way? That's not going to cut it sometimes. I had to evolve.
How difficult is it? I mean, I know we talk about the mindset. Whenever we're talking about the mindset, it's always on the positive level. But how does the criminal's mindset work, especially when it comes to undercover? I mean, like you're saying that you're trying, like you're performing, you're trying to pull tactics, you're trying to do psychological movements.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go up against that beast? Because it's only looking at it in darkness. You know what I mean?
There's
And
different
it's their
levels.
world. You're going into their
yeah.
world.
Exactly, and that's the ego part. You do it part-time, and you're tricking someone that lives it, day in, day out, 100% that's their life. Some are not as dangerous, but when you go with the ones that are really committed, like that person doesn't want to go to jail, that will hurt you, will try to kill you, will try to do everything that is, will smash out of a takedown with a vehicle, whatever it is. Yeah, one person said, an old buddy of mine, detective, he said, it takes a wolf to catch a wolf, that old saying, and it's true. We're just on one side of the law. We have the same mindset, the same skills of survival.
Right.
We just are on this side of the law, and you're on the other.
Right.
So when you look at that person, they know, right? There's a few of us out there like that.
Wow.
Yeah, they know.
But
And
we
you-
gotta,
Yeah, and your mindset has to be strong because I'm pretty sure
but
that
we'll win. We
Yeah.
can't second guess. We have to be able to, I will win. You
Right.
can't do the work if you don't think you're going to come
That's
out
the
as a
Jordan.
winner.
That's
Is
the
it-
Michael Jordan mentality.
is it
Yeah,
easy to
you're
get
talking
lost in the world? Like what I mean by that is
Yes.
like when you start,
It's sad.
is it? So,
There's
so
people who have lost themselves and
wow,
went to drugs, and unfortunately friends, and even before my time, there's people
Right.
that,
because you go deep basically, you go really deep,
yeah, they went, for whatever reason, they didn't have coping mechanisms.
right?
And back then you couldn't get help, right?
Yeah,
You couldn't, there was
You're on
no-
your own. Yeah.
You don't talk about those things.
Right.
I think you might have mentioned on a previous pause, like there was no
Yes.
EFAP, there was no,
Yep.
right? Back then, when I came on, even before my time, it was just a lot of divorces maybe. Even myself, I threw myself into this stuff
yeah.
before I had kids, which is good, and family, but yeah, you can get lost in
See,
the,
this is the stuff. This is the
You don't
stuff
hear
that,
about that,
no,
right?
you don't. But this is what I commend, like law enforcement on. See, over the last couple of years, by some bad practices by some rogue officers around the world, it's kind of created a negative light.
Not
You're-
kind of. It has.
It has, and you're in an undercover unit. You're risking your life for a better cause.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's
same as uniform, but yeah, undercover,
Yeah,
you're doing
no,
it
no,
without all
100%.
the protective.
oh no, 100%.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that, but this is the thing.
Stakes
Like,
are higher though.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
We have to always kind of remember that some bad apples do not reflect the overall good
100%.
work of the whole.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the important thing to really concentrate on. The fact that you're going to go to work, or any police officer for that matter is going to go to work with the objective to serve his community and to enforce the law. And as I think Ron said, is kind of go after the bad guys, right? Because they are out there. For anyone that's thinking that Canada is 100%,
Squeaky clean.
squeaky clean,
Yeah.
squeaky. It's not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. And people put their lives at risk every single day. So, I just feel it to thank you, man, for
Oh, I
what you
appreciate it,
did.
I was glad to be part of that world, right?
Yeah, because it does count. I mean, like we get to enjoy, I guess, the safety of our neighborhoods because of the work that you guys did in the
Absolutely.
shadows. Like truly did. No one would know, right? Like and you don't get a receiving line of applause and accolades, and it's just you quietly go home.
Yeah, and a lot of the bosses get credit because they've earned hopefully their due, and they're in charge of the unit.
Yeah.
And you know what, the community, 80%, I would say even higher, as the community will say thank you. When you go in
100%.
these communities,
Yeah.
they might not be able to say it officially because they live in these communities, because they're worried about any retribution, but they'll,
Yeah.
they'll
Because
on the
snitches get
down will say
stitches.
thank you,
Yeah.
or this, or they'll give you information, or whatever like that, because I have family that lived in these communities, right? Regent Park, other communities. So I had invested in interest, right?
Right.
I have family that still lives in some of the communities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That have these issues. So, but it's only 1% of people
Right.
that live there. The majority of people are nice everywhere. Doesn't
Right.
matter where you live.
Yeah.
And I learned that it's just the young bucks too. It's the 15 to 20-year-olds that don't think they'll live forever. Traditional organized crime, they're businessmen.
Oh yeah.
When you catch them with a
100%,
gun or
100%.
drugs or whatever like that, or whatever weapons, yes sir, no sir, like mafia type, yeah,
Oh yeah.
bikers. But they'll
Right.
hire a $1,000 lawyer or $1,500 lawyer an hour
Yeah.
to rip you one in court
Right.
if you don't have your case together when you're
Right.
testifying, right?
Oh yeah.
Because there's the testifying in the court, but the young people are the ones that unfortunately, and I know there's a lot of good people trying to help them, but they're the ones that in my experience, that I had more issues with, because they're the ones in the gun culture and all that. Yeah, the businessmen or the women, the older ones
Yes.
they're easy, right?
Right. Right.
'Cause,
Man.
I think with what you were saying earlier too, Constantine, that when we're thanking you, Phil, for your work.
No,
I think
thanks.
it's just due even for all police, because
Yeah.
because of that stigma, that shadow. Think about it for those listening. Imagine every day you woke up, you get ready, and you have a ballistic vest, also known as a bulletproof vest. It's part of your uniform. There's a reason why you wear it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have some other tools. Let's just break down even just like handcuffs. It's very unnerving to think, for anyone who does training, and we do training here at Sentinel on handcuff, it's not a regular thing. Like, because, you know, if you really think, you know, look, there's other uses of handcuffs, and, you know, kids joke about it and you see them. If you need to handcuff as a grown adult, another grown adult, it's not an easy task.
No.
It's really sloppy. And you can imagine, why are you handcuffing someone?
You're taking
Because
their
it's,
liberty,
you're actually saying your will and your desire of wanting to do whatever you want to do, it ends now. And I'm taking you under the law, and it's going to start a process where you're going to lose
100%.
your freedom.
You're
So
right.
there could be that could be a very violent incident. And imagine, like, most people go to work and they think about, oh man, I forgot to pack that apple and peanut butter for my first, like, I mean, look.
And they're stressed
Yeah.
because they don't have the coping mechanisms,
true.
right?
And
We
look-
all have different
Yeah.
coping
And look,
mechanisms,
you
right?
know, and
Yeah.
everyone has, you know, that account manager for some financial company. He has the stress of the money and the quota,
Yes.
and like, I get it, but those are manageable because it's in the context of just like business and other things, accounts and being liked and approved. But there's for police, they go out. They're any
appreciate
first
that, yeah.
responder. I mean, like, if we really look at it, a first responder,
Yeah.
whether they're fire,
Exactly.
whether they're
Ambulance
ambulance or
yes.
police, when everyone else doesn't want to go in, think of that 911 call. 'Cause
Security, Mike.
yeah,
Security.
security. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is always
Well,
forgotten.
you have to
That-
do more with less.
Yeah,
A lot of
that's
security.
right.
We train a lot of special concept security, and they don't have firearms.
They
Some
don't have the
pepper spray,
resources.
some
They don't have
the
have
back-
baton.
Yep.
They do
Right.
more with their mouth
Right.
than
Right.
And if you think, if you were in a scenario where you don't know how to solve it, you press 911, you share it to someone as an operator,
domestics.
And-
They're very dangerous.
and then now there's a group of men and women that get that call, and they go against conventional wisdom, and they respond to the 911 call.
No, it's
Right.
amazing you just hit it on the nail. When people can run away, we have to run to the danger.
Yeah,
right.
it takes a different person. They're wired differently, and at the core, it's
The
a
protectors, right?
Yeah, they're
born protectors.
a born
I
protector.
agree with you. You know, you just touched on something very important. I believe you're either born to it. I lived in 12 years old. I knew I wanted to be a police officer because of old Hill Street Blues. My parents used to watch. I tell people, you know, I'm sure there's other officers that help mentor. I help some 20-year-olds. I say, hey, it's not a job to do just for the money. Every time I had a gun pointed at me, I didn't think the money I made, which is good, was enough.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
When people think, oh, you got,
Yeah.
well, how
You're
about
like,
having
yeah.
or something, someone tried to steal, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I might be the outlier. Maybe not everyone has guns pointed at them or whatever, but this is the type of work we did. So, yeah, no amount of money the first time, or there's
Yeah.
other people, it's not enough. But you're right, you do it because, you know, I know military people probably don't take a special tier 1. They probably don't make enough of what they do. They're going around and protecting and doing crazy stuff, important stuff, and
Yeah.
they're probably not. They don't do it for the money either.
Right.
Mhm.
You're right. Nurses, especially now because of COVID, nurses are taxed.
Right.
You know, we need nurses and
Right.
medical. You're right,
Right.
though. But yeah, and you know what? I always teach in the resilience lectures. It's okay to leave. Before, you'd never leave.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, if you do 5, 10 years, 20 years, and you say it's not for me anymore, or you have the big word is compassion fatigue. If it's not for you and you can't, it's okay to leave and
That's
do another
right.
occupation, right?
That's
Where before you would look down on maybe that you didn't do 30, 35-year career.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how the mindset was, right?
No, I know.
Well,
I mean, okay.
go on, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, again, thanks for your work.
No, thank you.
I mean,
too.
we
I
don't
appreciate
know
it.
how. Like, this is the thing. The world's smaller than we think.
You still
They
have a
could.
chance if you
yeah.
want to be a UC.
Hey,
Yeah.
Train.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. But
That's okay.
I always look at it like this. Sometimes when I'm quiet, and it's rare, but I think something like you could have taken someone out off the street,
Yeah.
and that could have been a person that maybe whatever they did affected me directly,
Yeah.
affected a loved one of mine directly. We had the luxury of just enjoying a safe
Oh,
society
appreciate that.
without ever thinking, who's actually really cleaning it up here?
Yeah.
Who's making sure that it's safe?
Oh,
You
we
know?
all appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Listen.
amazing. I appreciate being here. Give
Yeah,
this
man.
opportunity. 'Cause
100%. And just for some closing words, what did we learn today, everybody? What did we learn? A man named Phil, born in Nova Scotia.
No, Toronto, but Nova
Toronto.
Scotian background.
Nova Scotian
Yeah,
background.
yeah.
Okay, for those that were not listening, that's it.
Yeah, good test.
You know, comes into a job in policing, starts right from the bottom, and in the little that he does great. He gets noticed, he grows, he's given opportunities, and he's basically put into environments where he truly is put in a protector style environment. And when we can learn from this is that it doesn't matter what the small is for you. As long as you're doing that great, you will open up other opportunities that will take you and create careers for you.
100%.
And I'm inspired by what I heard today
thank
from you,
you.
Phil.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say this at some point,
Sure.
but when you walked out of that elevator today and I saw you, it's like I knew you.
I had the
Okay.
same feeling we said that,
Yeah, and
Well, I
and-
mean, it was that arrest in '99.
yeah, and the one
true,
thing that
right?
I can say about you is that, you know, as much as you're in an environment where you can just pump your fist and say, "This is who we are," there's nothing but humility that oozes from you, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it's
I
like you
appreciate
are
it. And those people that mentored
genuine.
me were the same way. That's where you get it from. I
100%.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
You are a genuinely a good person, and the
Thank
fact
you.
that you can be put in environments that can test you, that you can battle afterwards and dealing with these situations that nobody in their right mind could see, because how could you just deal with that? The fact that you can do that and still be who you are today is a testament of your character and who you
I
are.
appreciate, really
And it's a
appreciate
pleasure
that.
to know
Thank
you, man. And I'm really looking
Likewise.
forward to what we're going to grow together.
Likewise, thank you so
Yeah,
much. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Phil.
Thank
Great
you.
having you on the show. Stay tuned for more and have a great day.
Thank you.
All right.
Take
Peace.
care, guys.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.